First contact in crisis. The night sky above the Atacama Desert changed forever when Dr. Elena Martinez noticed something unusual in her telescope data. The quantum fluctuation detector she designed had picked up impossible readings, a massive surge of quantum signatures approaching the solar system's edge. At first, she thought it was an equipment malfunction. By dawn, every major observatory on Earth confirmed her discovery. They were not alone. The vessels emerged from quantum space like ghostly leviathans, thousands of them, each larger than any spacecraft humanity had ever conceived. But they weren't arriving in triumph or conquest. They were failing. Their quantum drives sparked and sputtered, massive ships drifting helplessly in the void. "This is impossible," Elena muttered, staring at her readings. The quantum signatures were degrading at an alarming rate. Whatever advanced technology powered these ships was being torn apart by something in our solar system's unique quantum field. The first transmission arrived 12 hours after the ships appeared. It wasn't a demand or a threat. It was a cry for help. The message came in simple mathematical sequences, the universal language of science. What followed were technical specifications that made Earth's best physicists gasp in awe and horror. The alien fleet carried millions of refugees, their civilization fleeing from a catastrophic event in their home system. But they hadn't counted on our solar system's bizarre quantum properties that were now destroying their only means of propulsion. Admiral David Chen stood before the United Nations Security Council, his weathered face grave as he delivered the assessment. Their life support systems are quantum-based. When their drives fail completely, those systems fail too. We're looking at millions of deaths if we don't find a way to help them. Help them. The Russian representative scoffed. "We can barely reach Mars. How are we supposed to assist a civilization capable of quantum space travel?" Elena stepped forward, her hand steady despite her racing heart. Because sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. Their technology is failing precisely because it's too advanced, too dependent on quantum mechanics that don't work properly here. But our spacecraft, our primitive chemical rockets, they work just fine. The chamber erupted in discussion. Resources would have to be diverted, factories retooled, international cooperation established on an unprecedented scale. The cost would be astronomical. The technical challenges seemed insurmountable. And yet, as Admiral Chen watched the alien ships drift helplessly on the massive display screen, he saw something else. Humanity's chance to prove itself on the galactic stage. "We're going to save them," he announced, silencing the chamber. "Not because it's easy, but because it's right. Because when an advanced civilization needs help, they turn to us. And we're going to show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our determination to help others in need." As the Security Council debated logistics, Elena was already working with her team, combining their understanding of Earth's unique quantum field with the alien technical data. They had weeks, maybe months, before the fleet's life support systems failed completely. Millions of lives hung in the balance. In orbit, the International Space Station's crew watched the distant fleet glittering like fallen stars. They would be the first to make direct contact, to begin the greatest rescue operation in human history. Humanity's first step into a larger universe wouldn't come through war or technological superiority, but through compassion and ingenuity. The message they sent back to the alien fleet was simple. Hold on. Help is coming. The Great Challenge. Dr. Raj Patel stood in the newly established International Fleet Rescue Center, surrounded by the brightest minds Earth had to offer. The converted aircraft hangar in Singapore hummed with activity as engineers from dozens of nations worked side by side. On the massive screens overhead, real-time data from the alien fleet painted a grim picture. Their quantum fields were degrading faster than initially predicted. "The problem isn't just their propulsion," Raj explained to the assembled team leaders, pointing to the complex energy signatures. "Their entire ships are quantum integrated. Life support, artificial gravity, even their food synthesizers. Everything's failing, because it all relies on quantum coherence. The first alien representatives had arrived via shuttle, their vessel barely maintaining power long enough to reach Earth orbit. They called themselves the Verith, and their physical appearance, tall, crystalline beings that seemed to shimmer with internal light, was less shocking than the desperation in their multifaceted eyes. Chief Engineer Sarah Wong watched as one of the Verith, designated Ambassador Zurl, moved through the facility with an almost liquid grace. Their entire civilization is built on quantum manipulation, she observed. They've never needed to consider alternatives. It's like they built a society assuming gravity would always work the same way, then suddenly found themselves in a place where it doesn't. The challenge seemed impossible. Earth's chemical rockets could provide thrust, but the alien vessels weren't designed to handle such crude forces. Their hulls would shatter under the strain. Traditional Earth navigation systems couldn't interface with quantum-based controls, and time was running out. But impossibility had always been humanity's specialty. In labs across the globe, teams attacked the problem from every angle. Japanese engineers proposed adapting their magnetic levitation technology to cushion the impact of chemical propulsion. Brazilian scientists developed new heat-resistant materials to protect the alien hulls. Indian software developers created translation layers between Earth computers and quantum systems. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Maya Chen, a quantum physicist who'd spent years studying Earth's unusual quantum field, realized they were thinking about it wrong. "We don't need to replace their technology," she announced during a late-night session. "We need to shield it. Look at this." She projected a diagram showing how Earth's quantum field interfered with Verith technology. "If we can create a buffer zone, a quantum bubble using their own field generators but powered by our energy sources, we can protect their systems while providing conventional propulsion." Ambassador Zurl's crystalline form pulsed with renewed hope as they studied the concept. Yes, we never considered such a solution because it seemed too primitive. But primitive is exactly what we need. The next weeks were a blur of activity. SpaceX and Blue Origin retooled their entire production lines to create modified engines. The European Space Agency converted their launch facilities into testing grounds for the hybrid systems. China opened their quantum research facilities to international teams. Russia contributed their expertise in heavy rocket design. The first prototype was built in record time. A weird combination of sleek alien quantum technology and sturdy human engineering. It looked ugly, a crystalline quantum field generator surrounded by what appeared to be standard rocket engines, all held together by a framework that would have made any aerospace engineer wince. But when they activated it, something remarkable happened. The quantum field stabilized, protected by the very primitive technology that powered it. The Verith engineers watched in amazement as their readings showed something they'd thought impossible: stable quantum coherence in Earth's hostile quantum environment. "It's not elegant," Sarah admitted, watching the test data stream in. "But it works, and sometimes that's all that matters." They had their solution. Now they just had to scale it up to save millions of lives. The greatest engineering challenge in human history was about to begin, and they had less than 2 months to complete it. As news of the successful prototype spread, factories worldwide began retooling for mass production. Humanity was about to attempt something unprecedented. Not conquest, not exploration, but rescue on a scale never before imagined. Admiral Chen watched the activity from his office, remembering something his grandmother once told him. "True greatness isn't in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Humanity was about to help an advanced civilization rise again, using nothing more than ingenuity, determination, and the stubborn refusal to accept failure as an option. Operation Lifeline. Captain Yuki Tanaka stood in her retrofitted spacecraft's airlock, double-checking her suit seals. Through the viewport, the massive Verith vessel loomed against the stars, its crystalline surface dulled by failing quantum fields. Her team would be among the first humans to board an alien ship, not as invaders or explorers, but as rescuers. Engineering Team Alpha, status check, she called over the comm. 5 voices responded, each representing a different nation's space program. They'd trained together for just 3 weeks, all the time they could spare, learning to install the hybrid drive systems that might save millions of lives. Remember, Dr. Maya Chen's voice crackled through their comms from mission control. The quantum fields are failing faster in some sections than others. Watch your readings. If the artificial gravity fluctuates, use your magnetic boots. The docking procedure was delicate. The Verith ship's automated systems were barely functioning, requiring manual override. As they crossed the threshold, their helmet lights illuminated corridors designed for beings half again their height. The walls, once alive with quantum energy, now pulsed weakly like a fading heartbeat. They weren't alone. Tall, crystalline figures emerged from side passages, the Verith crew assigned to assist them. Despite their alien appearance, their body language conveyed unmistakable anxiety. These were engineers about to watch a supposedly primitive species attempt to save their people's most advanced technology. "We've got about 6 hours before this section's backup power fails," Yuki announced, consulting her quantum field detector. "Let's show them what humans can do." The hybrid drive installation was like performing surgery while riding a roller coaster. The failing quantum fields caused periodic gravity fluctuations. Tools had to be modified on the spot to work with alien materials. Every step required perfect coordination between human and Verith crew members. But they trained for this. Each team member knew their role. Carlos, the Brazilian mechanical engineer, supervised the physical mounting of the rocket assembly. Fatima, the Egyptian quantum specialist, monitored field harmonics. Ivan, the Russian propulsion expert, calibrated the thrust vectors. John Wei, the Chinese materials scientist, checked hull integrity. And Sarah, the American software engineer, worked to integrate Earth's control systems with Verith interfaces. In mission control, Maya watched through their helmet cameras as the first hybrid drive came online. The quantum bubble stabilized exactly as designed, powered by the primitive fusion reactors Earth had provided. The Verith engineers' crystalline forms literally glowed with astonishment as their readings showed quantum coherence returning to normal. "One ship stabilized," Yuki reported, allowing herself a small smile. "Only 4,999 to go." Across the vast fleet, similar scenes played out as rescue teams worked around the clock. Every hour brought new challenges. Some ships had different configurations. Others had suffered more severe quantum degradation. Each problem required quick thinking and improvisation. Humanity's greatest strengths. The Verith learned too. Their initial hesitation about human methods gave way to admiration as they watched Earth's engineers tackle problems with a combination of theoretical knowledge and practical experience. When a power coupling wouldn't align, the humans didn't spend hours calculating the perfect solution. They found a way to make it work with the tools at hand. "Your species approaches problems differently than ours," one Verith engineer observed, watching Carlos modify a tool using spare parts. "We seek perfection. You seek functionality. Perhaps both approaches have merit." But time was running out. Despite working at full capacity, they could only install drives on a fraction of the ships before life support would fail on the others. The Verith High Council made the difficult decision to begin evacuating the most damaged vessels, concentrating their population on the ships that could be saved first. Maya watched the evacuation feeds with a heavy heart. Entire families carrying what little they could, leaving homes they'd lived in for generations. But there was hope in the exodus too. Every ship successfully fitted with a hybrid drive meant thousands more would survive. Then came the report they'd all been dreading. A massive power cascade failure was spreading through the fleet's outer sections, taking down quantum fields faster than predicted. They had hours, not days, to save the remaining ships. All teams. Admiral Chen's voice cut through all channels. "This is what we've trained for. Humanity stands with you. Whatever it takes, We will not fail. As Yuki's team rushed to their next assignment, she caught a glimpse of Earth through a viewport. From here, it looked small, fragile, a blue marble floating in the void. Yet from that marble had come a species willing to attempt the impossible to save strangers from the stars. The next 24 hours would determine whether their audacious plan would succeed or fail. Either way, humanity had already proven something extraordinary. In a vast and quantum-entangled universe, sometimes the simplest solutions came from the most unexpected places. Storm of Unity. The warning came from a solar monitoring station in Mercury orbit. Dr. Elena Martinez, who had first detected the Verith fleet, now watched in horror as her instruments detected a massive solar eruption heading straight for the rescue zone. "This is a Class X event," she reported to Mission Control, her voice tight with urgency. "The radiation surge will hit the fleet in less than 30 minutes. Admiral Chen immediately activated all emergency channels. All rescue teams, immediate evacuation protocol. Return to your ships and prepare for radiation shielding." But Captain Yuki Tanaka's team was deep inside a Verith vessel, halfway through a critical drive installation. "We can't leave now," she argued, looking at the partially integrated system. "If we abandon this, the quantum cascade will be irreversible. Thousands will die." The Verith engineer working alongside her, whose crystalline form they'd nicknamed Aurora for its shifting colors, suddenly stiffened. "Our sensors confirm. This radiation, it will destroy our remaining quantum fields completely." They had seconds to make an impossible choice. Standard procedure demanded immediate evacuation. But Yuki looked at the Verith families in nearby chambers, children clutching their few possessions, and made her decision. "Team Alpha is staying. We'll ride it out here." The storm hit like a tsunami of invisible fire. Across the fleet, quantum fields collapsed under the onslaught. Emergency systems failed. Communication channels filled with static. But in the darkness, something remarkable happened. "Your suits," Aurora observed, their crystalline form dimming as their ship's power failed. "They're still functioning." Yuki checked her readings. The primitive radiation shielding in their Earth-made spacesuits was holding, while the advanced Verith technology crumbled under the exotic radiation. Human engineering, built to withstand the harsh reality of space, continued working. "Maya," Yuki called through the static, "the suits are stable. We need a crazy idea. Fast." Dr. Maya Chen, working frantically in Mission Control, suddenly straightened. "The suits, Yuki, we can use the suits' shielding principles. Upscale them. Create a bubble around entire sections of the ships." "Using what?" Admiral Chen demanded. "We don't have time to fabricate new shields." "We use what we have," Maya insisted. "The hybrid drives we've already installed. They're based on maintaining a quantum bubble. If we reverse the polarity, use the chemical rockets to power a modified shield matrix." It was impossible. Insane. It went against every safety protocol and engineering principle. They would have to reconfigure complex systems on the fly, in crisis conditions with failing equipment. In other words, it was exactly the kind of challenge humans excelled at. Teams across the fleet sprung into action. While Verith engineers calculated quantum configurations, humans began the dangerous work of physically modifying the hybrid drives. They worked in darkness as emergency lights failed, using helmet lamps to see. When digital tools failed, they used manual ones. When standard procedures proved impossible, they improvised. The first shield bubble flickered to life, just as the radiation reached its peak. It wasn't elegant, a crackling sphere of energy powered by rocket fuel and desperation. But it worked. Ship by ship, section by section, they began creating safe zones in the storm. Aurora watched in amazement as human rescue teams helped evacuate Verith families into the shielded areas. "Your species," they observed, "you don't stop. Even when everything indicates failure is inevitable, you continue." "That's humanity for you," Yuki replied, helping a Verith child into the safety zone. We're too stubborn to know when something's impossible. The storm raged for 18 hours. Teams worked in shifts, expanding the shield network, saving as many as they could. When equipment failed, they jury-rigged replacements. When power ran low, they connected their suit batteries to maintain critical systems. Every solution was temporary, improvised, imperfect. And yet they held. Through their helmet cameras, Earth watched its children perform miracles. Russian cosmonauts worked alongside Chinese taconauts. American engineers collaborated with Iranian scientists. Old rivalries meant nothing in the face of survival. The Verith witnessed something they had never imagined, a supposedly primitive species using basic technology and raw determination to save an advanced civilization. Their perfect quantum technology had failed, but humanity's imperfect solutions endured. As the storm finally began to fade, Maya received a transmission from one of the fleet's outer ships. Through the static, she could make out a group of human engineers and Verith crew, huddled together in a shielded compartment, singing. The humans had taught their alien colleagues, "We shall overcome," and the resulting harmony of human voices and crystalline tones echoed through the fleet. They had survived, not through advanced technology, but through the oldest human traits: adaptability, determination, and the unwavering desire to help others in need. The storm had tried to destroy two civilizations. Instead, it had forged them into one. Legacy of Unity. 5 years after the Great Rescue, Earth's night sky had changed forever. Verith ships, their hybrid drives glowing with the combined light of quantum energy and chemical fire, had become a common sight in orbit. But the real changes were happening on the ground. Dr. Maya Chen stood in the central atrium of the New Earth Verith Institute of Technology in Singapore, watching students from both species working together. The building itself was a testament to their partnership. Crystalline quantum architecture supported by traditional human engineering, beautiful and practical in equal measure. To think, Admiral Chen, now Earth's ambassador to the Verith High Council, mused beside her. It all started because their technology was too advanced to work here. In the years since the rescue, both civilizations had flourished through cooperation. Verith quantum medical technology, adapted to work in Earth's unique quantum field, had revolutionized human healthcare. Diseases once thought incurable yielded to targeted quantum therapy. In return, humanity's practical engineering approaches had transformed Verith spacecraft design, making their vessels more resilient and adaptable. Captain Yuki Tanaka, leading the first joint human-Verith deep space expedition, appeared on the atrium's quantum display. Her ship, the Unity, represented the best of both worlds. Verith quantum drives working in harmony with human innovation. "The hybrid technology we developed during the rescue," she reported, "it's not just a stopgap anymore. It's opening up new possibilities in space travel. We're charting quantum corridors no one ever thought possible." Aurora, now a permanent liaison to Earth's space program, moved through the Institute with their characteristic crystalline grace. Their forms still shifted colors with emotion, but now they wore a modified human spacesuit component, a practical addition to their natural abilities that would have been unthinkable before the rescue. "Your species taught us something invaluable," they told Maya as they watched a group of human and Verith engineers testing a new quantum chemical hybrid system. "Perfect solutions aren't always the best solutions. Sometimes the imperfect, the improvised, the simple, these are what survive when the elegant fails." The Great Rescue had changed more than just technology. Other spacefaring civilizations had taken notice of the unprecedented cooperation between humans and Verith. The Unity Protocol, as it became known, was reshaping galactic diplomacy. Advanced civilizations began looking at younger species not as primitive beings to be uplifted, but as potential partners with unique perspectives to offer. In orbit, the International Space Station had evolved into Unity Station, a sprawling complex where humans and Verith lived and worked together. Its hybrid architecture represented the new normal quantum systems protected by human-designed shields, artificial gravity generated by a combination of technologies, and crews that celebrated their differences while embracing their shared purpose. Dr. Elena Martinez, who had first spotted the Verith fleet, now led the Joint Quantum Research Program. "We thought first contact would be about proving ourselves to advanced aliens," she reflected during a lecture to mixed-species students. "Instead, it was about proving something to ourselves, that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, but our ability to face impossible challenges with creativity and compassion." The evidence of their success was everywhere. In hospitals where Verith quantum healing worked alongside human medical practices. In schools where children of both species learned each other's languages and cultures. In space where hybrid ships explored the galaxy, carrying the message that diversity of approach and unity of purpose could overcome any obstacle. Sarah Wong, the engineer who had helped design the first hybrid drive, watched from Unity Station as a new class of ships prepared for their maiden voyage. These vessels were neither human nor Verith in design, but something entirely new, the product of two civilizations that had learned to combine their strengths. "Look at that," she said to a group of trainees, pointing to Earth glowing below them. "5 years ago, we thought we were saving them. But really, we were saving each other." They showed us the quantum nature of reality, and we showed them the quantum nature of the human spirit, that in our finest moments, we can transcend any limitation to help others. As humanity and Verith moved forward together, their shared experience became a beacon of hope in the galaxy. They had proved that true advancement wasn't just about technology, but about the wisdom to know when to be humble, when to be bold, and when to reach out a helping hand, even across the stars. The greatest rescue in human history had become humanity's greatest gift to itself. The knowledge that in a vast and often dangerous universe, no civilization needed to face the future alone. The end.